The clock is ticking. We are now barely 12 hours from a government shutdown. That's if lawmakers can't make a spending deal by midnight. House Speaker Mike Johnson says he expects another vote soon, and we've learned that Republicans could drop the suspension of the debt limit despite Donald Trump's demands. Everything is very fluid on Capitol Hill right now, but the president-elect is in no hurry for a spending bill to pass, it seems, based on his latest post. He is urging Congress, or saying, hey, if the government shutdown happens, let's let it happen on President Biden's watch, not my watch. So if you live in a state hit by disasters like with hurricanes, wildfires, flooding, the stalemate in Washington has become a crisis of its own. It really matters to so many Americans. Roughly $100 billion in aid hangs in the balance, funds that would have gone to every single state in the nation. The biggest recipients, more than $10 billion for Florida and nearly $9 billion for North Carolina, still reeling from that brutal hurricane season. Katie Button knows how critical that money is. She's on North Carolina's advisory committee to rebuild Western North Carolina. She's also an award-winning chef who owns 2 restaurants in Asheville. One is still closed after Hurricane Helene. So Katie, what are you thinking as you watch this chaos ensue over the spending bill in Washington with just hours to go for a government shutdown?
It is incredibly frustrating and disheartening. The entire community of Western North Carolina and the state of North Carolina is watching this with, are biting our nails while we're watching it because we desperately need this disaster relief bill to go through. Basically, we're hanging on by a thread, and it feels kind of ridiculous to feel like you're caught up in the crossfire of some kind of political showdown when what we really need is for our elected officials and our president-elect using his influence to come together, put their party designation aside, and get this money passed.
You say you're hanging on by a thread, the folks there in Western North Carolina. Talk to me about what that money would do for the state and for your town. We're looking at pictures right now that you sent to us of the damage in your area.
I mean, it was to provide support for Western North Carolina in many different ways, but one that is particularly, kind of important for me is aid for small businesses. Asheville is a community of passionate small businesses, whether it's restaurants, artists, breweries, you name it. And we have faced catastrophic economic damage through closures due to the storm, and then also just decreased tourism because people don't want to travel to an area recently hit by a hurricane. So we are hanging on by a thread. Most people I speak to are having their insurance claims denied. They don't have any funding, and they are depending on this disaster relief bill to provide them some support so that they don't have to permanently close. And it isn't just, the impact isn't just on our businesses. If you think about what happens when a restaurant permanently closes, restaurants are economic cornerstones of their community because we employ so many people. So every dollar that comes through our doors goes right back out to our workforce, the people who live in Western North Carolina, but also to our farmers and suppliers. And if we fail, the whole region fails. And we just cannot risk that.
Yeah, and you know that because you own 2 restaurants there. North Carolina Senator Ted Budd says, look, no one should leave Washington until this deal is done. What is your message to members of Congress who say they're okay with not letting a spending bill pass and to just allow the government to shut down?
I would say that they were elected to support and look after the American people. And by making that decision, they are not working for our benefit. I mean, there are real people, workers in our area, businesses that are at risk if this does not get passed.
And I also want to note, it's wintertime, right? And the temperatures are getting colder. There are people that are in yurts right now in Western North Carolina. They don't even have, in some cases they've denied assistance to stay at hotels and so forth. But I mean, there are parts that are still in dire situations, right?
I mean, absolutely. The physical destruction is still there. And, this funding, disaster relief money isn't just for businesses. I mean, a large part of it is to repair the damage that was done, return people to their homes, get them back working, just restart the entire life of the community. And we're really depending on this to go through to make it.
Anything else you want to say?
Just that the other thing I would say is Asheville, is ready, but simultaneously we are also open and ready for visitors. We need people to come see us. Downtown is restaurants are open, come shopping and visit, plan a vacation. That's another way that you can support our area.
All right, Katie Button, thank you so much. Joining us now, Illinois Democratic Congresswoman Lauren Underwood. She serves on the House Appropriations Committee. Congresswoman, thank you for joining us. So Speaker Johnson says he has a new spending plan. Republicans are banking on just enough Democrats to vote in favor of it to get it passed. Where do you stand this morning?
Well, I look forward to reviewing the legislative text.
And what would you need to see in that legislative text to vote in favor of it?
I need to see it. I'm learning of this just as you are. I learned about it on Twitter. We haven't seen the legislation yet. And so this is so important to make sure that we're able to fund our government and support essential services. And so the details really do matter, Pam, and I'm looking forward to reviewing the text.
Do you think you have enough time now? I mean, the government's supposed to shut down at midnight, given, we don't know how many pages it's going to be, but do you feel confident you would have enough time to read through the legislative text and make a decision?
It is unacceptable that we are in this position, that we have Mike Johnson and Donald Trump taking instructions from Elon Musk, an unelected billionaire who through this negotiation, bipartisan negotiation, and he just blew it up. And now we are being crunched to review things very quickly, very urgently to make sure that we're meeting the needs of the American people.
So Speaker Johnson, for his part, is now blaming Democrats after the GOP funding bill failed last night. Here's what he said.
Very disappointing to us that all but 2 Democrats voted against aid to farmers and ranchers, against disaster relief, against all these bipartisan measures. I want you all to remember that it was just last spring that the same Democrats berated Republicans and said that it was irresponsible to hold the debt limit, the debt ceiling hostage. What changed?
And again, 38 Republicans voted against it. But also Vice President-elect J.D. Vance is echoing what we heard from Speaker Johnson, saying Democrats have asked for a shutdown and that's what they're going to get. How do you respond?
I think that J.D. Vance and Mike Johnson have nowhere to look but in the mirror at themselves. Mike Johnson is the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and it is his responsibility to put a bill on the floor for a vote that can pass with the support of his conference. With 38 House Republicans voting no, he has failed. And so this shift and blame and all of this nonsense is not going to deliver for the American people. They have the responsibility. They have the majority. It is not the responsibility of Democrats to bail them out.
President-elect Trump is saying the government should shut down on President Biden's watch and that this is Biden's problem. I do have to ask you, though, where is President Biden in all of this? Do you think he needs to be more engaged?
You know, it's so disappointing to hear Donald Trump use that kind of rhetoric. I was first elected in 2018 in a Trump shutdown, and this is what he does. For him to be pointing blame and not taking responsibility for his role in creating this crisis. We had a bipartisan agreement, Pam, and I was prepared to go to the floor and vote. And we heard Donald Trump, well, we actually saw Donald Trump on the internet taking direction from Elon Musk, the world's richest man, and that's how we got here. And so I think it's really important for the American people to remember that Mike Johnson is the Speaker of the House. He has the majority, and it's his responsibility to deliver the votes to fund the government.
But on President Biden, in February, Biden met with congressional leaders to avert a partial shutdown. I mean, this time around, he appears MIA. Is President Biden essentially powerless right now?
Absolutely not. This is a crisis that was created by 3 people, Pam. Mike Johnson, Donald Trump, and Elon Musk. 3 Republicans who have blown up a bipartisan funding agreement. And I am standing here in the United States Capitol waiting to receive legislative text to keep the government open so that we can move forward and have a Merry Christmas.
Even though this chaos and crisis may have been created by others, as you laid out, would you like to see President Biden step in more and engage more, though, before the government is set to shut down at midnight?
I would like to see Mike Johnson do his job and put a bill on the floor that can pass and keep the government open.
Congresswoman Lauren Underwood, thank you.